right, we're ready for review number 2. You might notice up at the top I've made a couple of notes. My general form of graphing an absolute value equation. Noticing that these two values can give me my vertex, my centerpiece, if I want that, and that's going to be necessary for these. That this value will tell me whether my graph is shifting to the left or right. Again, it's the opposite of what you would think. The positive is the left, the negative is to the right. And that my k value on the end determines whether I'm going up or down with any of these. Again, my sections are here if I need help via the YouTube page or my website. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a peek at a couple of these just to kind of see how this works. So graph the equation, identify the vertex. Okay, the vertex is the easy part. It's the opposite of what I see for that value. So positive 4, and I keep this one. So 4, 3. Now at this point, I have choices. But I think the easiest way to go, instead of trying to type this in the calculator and figure out all those other things, is I look for my slope, in air quotes, out here at the edge. And I see it for this one, it's 1. So since my graph's going up, well, how do I know that? That it's positive 1, it's not a negative. I can go up 1 and over 1, up 1 and over 1, and just connect the dots. That's so much easier than going to a calculator or doing something fancy like that. And that's all I have to do that. So it's not too bad of a deal when it comes to these, trying to figure this out. So, okay, well, what if I get to one like number 4? Now, it's a little bit different when I get here, because this really looks like this, because I don't see a number in there with x. So what do? That's okay, I just use a 0. And the number outside stays the way it is. My dot. This time it says negative. So negative means it's going to open downward. And I do it just like I do slope. Rise over run. Down 3 and right 1. But I also go down 3 and left 1. You're like, well, why are you doing that? Because again, absolute value, just like we do with the equations, it's got 2 separate solutions going. So it can work in both directions. And that's it. That's it. Easy peasy. So that's going to be my best route on those. Let me flip over. Okay, sketch the graph of the function. Now, when I'm over here, we have a vertex issue again. But this time, to find my vertex, I use negative b over 2a. This is going to get me my x value. So for instance, if I'm looking at this one, the opposite of b, the opposite of negative 2, is positive 2 over 2 times a. My a value is 1. So x is 1. At this point, check this out. Now this one, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to use the calculator. Because by knowing the information that I know now, x squared minus 2x minus 1. I know where the x value is going to be my centerpiece. Because again, I see the symmetry now. So I can go, okay, 1, negative 2. Got that from my chart here. And then I'm just going to plot whatever other points, I can fit onto my graph. But this one's a little different from just making the parabola and connecting the dots. Because now, when I'm sketching it, I got to figure out if I'm shading inside or out. So again, my suggestion is to use a test point. I usually use one that's inside, and then I see if it's true. Well, hey, best test point ever is available, 0, 0. So I'm going to test 0, 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 for y. I'll plug in 0 for x. Let's see here. 0 minus 0, that's still 0, minus 1. Is 0 greater than negative or equal to negative 1? It's greater than. That's true. If it's true, you shade where the test point is. The test point's inside the parabola. So I'm just going to shade inside. And that's all I'm doing. Okay? Don't make life difficult on yourself by trying to go crazy with all this other stuff. Write the solution to the inequality in interval notation. Okay, we're going to factor first because we need to know what our x values or our zeros are going to be. Multiplies to -8 and adds to -9. Negative and negative. Oh, 8 and 1. Okay. So n equals 1 and n equals 8. You're like, okay, what's that mean? Well, I'm going to make myself a number line. And we talked before about how there's 3 areas. There's A, B, and C. I'm always going to test out something in area B. Well, why is that? Because if this is true, the answer's here. If it's false, the answers are here. So I need to pick a point. Doesn't matter. Pick a number in between 1 and 8. In this case, we'll use 3. And I'm going to plug those values in and see if it makes this true. So let's see. 3 squared is 9 minus 27 plus 8. -10 is greater than 0. I don't think so. Okay, so again, I just plugged in my value. Any value between 1 and 8 would work. Plug them in for the ends. Okay, got false, which means my answers are out this way. And then I just use the graph to do my interval notation. So it goes from way out here, so negative infinity, till I get to 1. And then it starts up again at 8 and goes off to infinity. And there we go. So again, I can do it graphically, but again, if it's an inequality with graphing, I got a shade. And if you're just asking to write the solution, I just factor and I go. And I know it's a lot of stuff that we've been doing, but that's why we kind of go back and look at some of it again. And if there's a couple of things you don't get, that's okay. There's only going to be a question or two of each thing, so it's not like, it's going to be millions of points. Okay, factoring. If I see 4 terms, factor by grouping. Group the first 2 terms, the last 2 terms. Factor out the GCF of each and finish factoring. Okay. I can take a 6 out of both of those. It's important I get the biggest number. Smallest exponent. So I already got the 6. I got 2 A's. I need to get to 3. 6 times 2 gets me to 12, and I already got the A. Now remember, when I do the second one, I better get A minus 2 for my parentheses, otherwise I'm in trouble. You're like, well, Harty, these have nothing in common. Well, I see a negative, so I'm going to pull a -1 and hope this works. Let's see. -1 times what gets me -1A? A. -1 times what gets me to 2? -2. They're the same. I'm a happy camper. So then my answer, I got to finish the form. Take your greatest common factors, put those together, and get that in there. Now one last one. Even though we did factoring on the last one, we'll do a little more again. Solve by factoring equals 0. I got to get the answer. So I'm like, all right, let's do some slide and divide. So I get that set. Now again, I have to factor this. If I don't know what multiplies to 72 and adds to 27, again, pull out the handy-dandy chart. Start finding 72s. 12 and 6. Does 12 plus 6 equal 27? No. There's another 72. Okay. 18 and 4s. 18 plus 4, 27? No. Let's see. There's a 72. 24 and 3. Is 24 and 3 27? It is. But again, remember, don't forget about the 8. So we divide. 24 divided by 8 is 3. Okay, that we can leave alone. 3 over 8, I think, is reduced, but I need to know. Divided by 8. Math, enter, enter. Yes, it is. So if that's true, we swing that guy back to the front. But now I'm not done this time because it says solve. Take each set of parentheses, set them equal to 0, and figure out what the r value is. And you can get fractions for answers on this. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, that covers for the most part our dealings with review number 2. Now, again, if you're having issues, try using these examples first to see if you can get to an answer, because we have keys up front, I have keys online. And if that doesn't work, again, try looking at the note sheet, try looking at an example, try working it with a friend, try the YouTube page. If all else fails and you're just like, I have nothing left, then come and see me. But have something written down. Don't just have the one we did together and go, try something, okay? Review 3 coming up next.